Would you like to live your best life possible, regardless of your imperfections? Discover cutting-edge tools and inspiration to let go of your limitations and expand your life beyond what you've ever imagined. On Imperfect Brilliance, we help you tap into your unique gifts and talents, uncovering and letting your brilliance shine. Join certified facilitators and coaches Betsy McLoughlin and Kathy Williams to delve into different areas of your life, get unstuck, and create the life that is truly possible for you. These joyful ladies have changed their lives by utilizing the tools and techniques they share with you. What if your willingness to acknowledge your brilliance is the catalyst to creating a new reality? When you stop judging you, what else can you create in your life and in the world? Join Kathy and Betsy live every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern to create magical and joyous possibilities for an hour of laughs, questions, tips, and more. We are excited to contribute and play with you.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Imperfect Brilliance. I am super excited for you guys to be listening in with us today. I'm Betsy McLoughlin, and I'm here with my fabulous co-host, Miss Kathy Williams. Hi, Miss Kathy.
Yay! Hi, Betsy. It's so fun to be with you after a month of pre-recorded shows.
Yes.
I'm excited to be live again.
Me too. And before we get started on our fabulous topic about would you rather be right than happy, Kathy, would you? Kathy's been gallivanting all around the globe in the last month, having all kinds of great adventures, which I'm sure she'll share a little bit with us and include us in her fabulous adventures. And but before we get started, would you like to tell everybody a little bit about us?
Absolutely, Betsy. Betsy and I are Access Consciousness certified facilitators, meaning we use all these different simple, practical, effective tools to create change in easier ways than most people even think is possible. So we are coaches as well, coaching people across the globe, and we also teach some pretty powerful classes, and really all of this is about empowering you. So if you have a question about what we talk about on the radio, please reach out, whether that's on Facebook or by email at imperfectbrilliance@gmail.com, or even call in. You can call in from the OMTimes website. It has a phone number right there. You can call us and ask a question about anything that we talk about, and we would love to hear from you on air. It makes it really interesting. So the other thing about Betsy and I is we're, regular people. We have children, and we are authors, and we have a variety of different interests too. And one of mine is traveling. So I've just returned from Bali and sailing in Indonesia and then teaching in London. So that's not the end of my summer travels. I'll be in Chicago this coming week, and Wisconsin, and then down to South Carolina and Portland, Maine. Oh, and facilitating with you in Virginia, right near D.C. I can't wait for that. So all of that stuff can be found at meetkathywilliams.com. So you can meet me and see what I'm about. And then Betsy has a website too.
Sure do. And that is creatingyumminess.com. And we also have a website together, imperfectbrilliance.com. We have a Facebook page, and so many different ways that you guys can find us. And as Kathy said, please reach out to us. We absolutely adore hearing from you guys and playing with you and contributing to you. And it's such an honor for us to, be a small part of your lives. So we just always like to take a moment and express our gratitude for you guys listening and reaching out to us. And because honestly, without you guys, we probably wouldn't do this. So, and it's really fun. And one of the neat things about being on the radio versus like teaching classes in person or even doing our telecalls, which we do a lot of, is that you never know. Like you'll just get a random email or somebody, you meet somebody somewhere and they're like, oh my gosh, I listen to your show all the time, or this episode really, was a contribution. And so it's really fun, isn't it, Kathy, to just kind of, you just never know who's listening, who and when they're listening.
That is true. Yeah. And today's show is about the willingness to be wrong and what power is in that. I mean, how much energy do we spend trying not to be wrong or to prove that we're right? And what if there's a different possibility? I mean, after all, being right is one of the things that people value the most. And it creates a lot of conflict, not only between people, but between countries and all sorts of businesses and all sorts of things. So what if we actually dropped the need to be right, and what could that create for us? I'm excited to play with this.
Absolutely. And, certainly speaking for myself, I certainly spent a lot of my life in the space of defending or proving that what I knew or what I was saying was absolutely right. And I got in a lot of debates and different things like that where I was solely focused on proving that I was right and the other people were not.
Oh, wow. Yeah. and does that create more unity between them, or between you, or more discord?
Right. And, it also, besides the discord, what really popped in as you were asking that question, Kathy, was also separation. So, like how many walls of separation do we create in the what we think is the need to be right, and defending that against everything. And in that need to be right, are we really looking at the whole situation or the whole picture? Are we asking any questions? Are we looking to change anything? Or are we so focused on that need to be right and proving everyone else wrong that we have such blinders on? So go ahead.
Well, I like that you mentioned asking questions. And Betsy and I really value asking questions because every question we ask opens the door to possibilities that we may not have been aware of. So, and as the question asker, you may get a verbal awareness, in your head, not verbal, but words in your head, or you may get an image pop in after you've asked a question, or you may just sense an energy. So get a different sense maybe of lightness or contraction or something. And each question you ask in that way, it contributes to you expanding what you know. And even if it's just oh, shall I go home with this person? And you get the sense then you can follow your awareness. So, yeah. And one of the things, even that can discharge arguments super quickly is, oh, you're right. And it's not that they're right forever or that you're wrong, but letting someone know they're right and recognizing that in their own head, they actually are right. And maybe you could actually see the situation from their point of view as well. it diffuses like any push against us.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a lot of people work so hard to prove that they're right, that so much energy is going in that direction that if you'll just say, oh, you know, you're right. Okay? Like, let's say someone's saying, you know, Kathy, you're just being stupid about this and you're having this point of view that I don't agree with. I can just recognize that, oh, you're right. I might be being stupid about this. I might not be being aware of all the possibilities. I might, you know, and recognize that that's just from their point of view. From their point of view, they are right. And if I'm willing to acknowledge that, then actually people often will be more willing to change their position. It's so interesting. If you just say, oh, you're right, that eliminates the need to prove or defend their point of view and opens up the possibility for flexibility in the conversation, for them to see a different point of view. So I'm wondering what comes up for you about this, Betsy?
You know, I love the whole diffusing thing. And I watch so many people fighting so hard for being right that they don't invite any other possibilities in. And I certainly, as I talked about before, I certainly was the same way. And so in the willingness to ask questions, and as Kathy mentioned, we talk about questions a lot, if you guys are regular listeners. And we have found that questions absolutely change everything for what we have created in our worlds. So I have like even a quick little example of when, you know, like you can even do this for yourself. Right? If you've decided you're right about something for yourself, well, are you asking questions for something different to show up? And I've had a very interesting couple of weeks where I actually had two different vehicles basically die on me within less than 4 or 5 days time. So we had to go, you know, we went and we were looking for new cars, and one car that we decided we were going to get wasn't going to be ready until the next day. And we went home, and I realized the next morning, I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't ask any questions. And what prompted me to realize I hadn't asked any questions about the car as far as, like, is this the car that really would be the biggest contribution to me and to my husband? Because another car kept pulling my attention. And I had decided that car was too expensive. So I wasn't asking, right? So I wasn't asking any questions, and I was really working hard to make that point of view true. So in the not asking any questions and trying to ignore my awareness or, you know, like what I knew innately about the other car, well, fortunately, you know, I realized, like, oops, I didn't do what I normally do for a variety of reasons. And I'm like, oh, well, it's not too late. I can ask questions. And I started asking questions, and I got out of my own way of trying to prove how right I was about how I could not afford this other car.
Yeah, wow.
So when I realized what I was doing, it's like, wait a minute, is that even true? And what would it take to create the extra money that this car payment is going to have in my life? And if I purchase this car, what would it contribute to my life? And in asking all of these questions, like all the floodgates basically opened. And like after all of that, and as you mentioned earlier, like the awareness, the lightness, the effervescence of that, the choice is like, oh my gosh. So, you know, we called the dealer and said, hey, you know what, we want to test drive this other car. And I just kept asking questions. And we ended up, you know, long story short, we ended up purchasing the car that I had first worked so hard to prove myself right that we couldn't afford it.
I love that story, Betsy. I love that story. I mean, when we think we're right, we'll also use a lot of like, well, I can't afford it because da-da-da-da-da-da, and it wouldn't work because da-da-da-da-da-da, instead of saying, well, what would it take for it to work? What would it take for us to afford it, right? So when you find yourself saying because, really take a look at it and see, oh, is there a different question I could ask here that would open up a different possibility? You know, because is so often used to justify our limitations, not to open the door to a new possibility. So, let that because be a signal like, hey, you might want to take a look at this and ask some questions here. Yeah, I love that you opened the door to affording that. Yeah.
Right.
So I can't afford it. Yeah.
No, it has been such a contribution to us already, and it's an amazing car. And I'm so grateful that my body kind of took over and said hello, like kind of knocking on my door of me trying to prove myself right, and said hello, you're not asking any questions. And I went, don't, like silly me. And then with no recriminations or anything like that, it was just like, oh, right, I have all these great questions and great tools that I'm always talking about. And so I had, for whatever reason, decided that it wasn't necessary in this situation. So I'm so grateful that there are different choices and possibilities in any time of any situation, any day. So you guys, thank you so much for being with us at Imperfect Brilliance. We have to take a quick break. Hang on, we'll be back just shortly.
Free your mind with OMTimes Radio, IOM FM.
OMTimes magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. Connect at omtimes.com. OMTimes, creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Hello, I'm Sandy Sedgbeer, host of OMTimes Magazine's flagship radio show, What is Going On? My passion is sifting through information, research, and innovations from new thought teachers, speakers, and researchers, pushing back the boundaries of what we know about life, energy, metaphysics, and the universe. I love shifting perceptions about who we are, why we're here, and how quickly impossible becomes normal when we open our minds, expand our awareness, and accept that the only limits that exist are those we place upon ourselves. So if you're the kind of forward-thinking, eager investigator of what lies beyond the current reality that most perceive, why not make a date to come play with me in the field of possibilities at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time every Thursday, and together we can discover what's really going on.
Dad, this is fun. I didn't think I'd like kayaking.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, but I think it's time to head back in.
Okay. Can we come back?
Sure. Hey, be careful getting out of the boat.
It's a kayak, Dad.
I'm going to return the kayak.
Can we walk home?
How about a taxi?
It's a short fare from your neighborhood to your naturehood. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a neighborhood park or green space near you. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the U.S. Forest Service.
Welcome to Imperfect Brilliance, everyone. This is Kathy Williams here with my co-host, Betsy McLoughlin. And we're talking today about the power in being wrong. After all, sometimes people ask, would you rather be right or would you rather be happy? And, of course, they're not always an either or. However, There is so much available when we're willing to be wrong. And, one thing I was reflecting as we were listening to the ad is, when someone else, when you and another person have conflicting points of view, like what if you just take a moment and say, what if I could see it from their point of view for a moment? And just allow yourself, open the door to seeing it from their point of view. And it doesn't mean you have to take that point of view forever. But sometimes when we're willing to do that, it opens us up to different possibilities that weren't available when we are stuck in our own point of view.
So true. So true. And the other thing that was popping up too, Kathy, is when you're willing to be wrong, what gift is that for not only yourself, but everyone around you? If you're willing to be that space of vulnerability, of admitting, like, hey, maybe I was wrong here. What does that, how many doors of possibilities, as we've been talking about, does that open?
Yeah.
And it kind of like melts when you're like, okay, maybe I really could have chosen something different here, and you're not fighting against it, and you're willing to be vulnerable. What gift is that?
So true. I mean, you're really different. But let's just take a look at saying I'm wrong. Like, is that an easy thing for you all? I know for a long time it wasn't an easy thing for me. Like, I'd rather do just about anything than say, oh, sorry, I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not true, but there's definitely a resistance that was there and can often still crop up. So, how about you? Have you had that where it's a little bit challenging or like, I don't want to say I'm wrong?
Absolutely. And there's something in being willing to say, hey, maybe I didn't make the best choice here, as opposed to the automatic reflex of defending whatever action I did or did not do. Well, even in our description of the show, it's like there's nothing to push against, there's nothing to fight against. And so like how much time do you spend fighting against or pushing against, either trying to prove you're right or prove someone else is wrong? And somewhere along the line, a lot of times, you kind of even forget what the original thing was that had you so fired up to begin with.
That is true, isn't it? It's like, there's so much here. And one of the things that, so when we're willing to be the wrong person, we're actually different from most people, because most people are not willing to say I'm wrong. And already that shifts the energy. When you're willing to say, oh yeah, sorry, I'm wrong, like that's unusual. So people, already are disarmed a little bit. And, when they're disarmed, what kind of possibilities are available? Where can you go that you couldn't have gone when people have walls or barriers up and they're defending? And you mentioned us defending too, we're dropping our defenses when we're saying, I'm sorry, I'm wrong. One example for me is sometimes when my husband, he's annoyed at me or whatever, one thing I'll say is, I'm sorry, I'm not always that easy to live with. So I'm acknowledging that, hey, it's true. Sometimes I'm really easy to live with, and sometimes I'm not. Probably like anyone.
I love that.
It just sort of softens the situation, and he feels acknowledged because he's living with someone who sometimes is not easy to live with, and I've just acknowledged that for him. So when we're in conflict, what can we acknowledge about the other person or about their situation and what they're going through? And feeling acknowledged is one of those things that's really valuable for people. So it's so useful. So all of us, right? I would like to be acknowledged. Yeah. So the other thing you mentioned, Betsy, was defending. So would you talk a little bit about that?
As far as defending your point of view?
Yeah, anything that comes up. And I have a clearing about defending as well to do. Wonderful. And so what I am a visual person, so a lot of times when we're talking about things, I'll get images. And so what always seems to pop up when I'm in this conversation, a lot of times it's like I see like the castle at the top of the hill. And so, how many armies have you put into place to defend the castle from all attacks, from any, sneak attacks, from bold attacks in the middle of the day or the middle of the night, and anything else. So it's all my attention is being spent fortifying the forces, my army and my, everybody that would be involved with fortifying my fortress, my castle on the hill, so that nobody could ever possibly, get in, and all I'm doing is defending it. There's so much energy being spent there that, again, there's no other possibilities that I am creating. Because all I'm doing is focused on defending my fortress and everything that I have built and everything that I have created. So the clearing I have here is who or what are you defending for or against? That if you would stop defending for or against it, would give you all of you. And everything that is, will you destroy and uncreate it times a gazillion?
Yes.
Right, wrong, good, bad, pop, pock, all nine, short, boys, and beyonds. And that's the Access Consciousness Clearing Statement. It's designed to bring up energies, even if you don't logically know anything about it, including the words, bring up energies and clear them. So let me do that clearing just once more. Who or what am I defending for or against that if I didn't defend for or against it would give me all of me? And everything that is times a godzillion will you destroy and uncreate it all? Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, pock, all nine, shorts, boys, and beyonds. And you can find out more about that clearing statement at theclearingstatement.com.
Awesome. So if we're spending all our time defending, how much of ourselves have we left out of the equation of us?
Oh, I love that. Yeah. Yeah, and it's interesting because I read something earlier that said if you're having a problem with someone, the reason you're having a problem is because you're not willing to let go of them. And maybe in this situation, it might be you're not willing to let go of them, not seeing it from your point of view.
You're not, say that last part again, you're not willing to let go of them from your point of view?
No, of them not seeing the situation from your point of view. You have such a need for them to see it from your point of view. Yeah.
And I wonder too, like how much of all of this that we're talking about today is a learned behavior? Right? How many people all around us are in constant state of proving that they're right and making others wrong. So how much have we learned this as we were growing up?
Yeah, I mean, where have we, again, this idea of made being right more valuable than being happy?
Mm-hmm.
So everywhere we've made being right more valuable than being happy, will you destroy and uncreate it times the godzillion?
Yep.
Ooh,
Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, puff, all 9 shorts, boys, and beyond. And you remember what you just said? To say that one again?
Yeah, more or less. Everywhere you're making being right more valuable than being happy, will you destroy and uncreate that times the godzillion? Woo.
Yes. Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, puff, all 9 shorts, boys, and beyond. Well, Kathy, you bring up such an interesting thing. Are we truly allowed to be happy? And everything that's bringing up, will you destroy and uncreate it?
Yes. Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, pock, all 9 shorts, boys, and beyond. Yeah. Everywhere we've made being right the valuable thing.
Mm-hmm.
Will you destroy and uncreate that times the godzillion?
Yeah. Yes. Good, bad, pot, pock, all 9 shorts, boys, and beyond. So how valuable have you made being right in your life? And what could you choose now? How much more freedom could you give yourself if you were willing to give up the castle on the hill and defending your fortress with all of your might forever and ever? Oh, goodness gracious.
Everything that brings up or lets down, will you destroy and uncreate it all?
Yes. Right,
wrong,
good, and bad, pot and pulp. All 9 shorts, boys, and beyond. So the reason that Kathy and I are both yawning a bit right now, we're not bored. It's actually just part of clearing the energies.
You're not bored, Betsy?
No, I'm not bored.
So relieved.
Yeah.
Yeah, and actually, I mean, one of the things that used to be in the Access Consciousness Foundation manual, it's no longer, but it used to, was the willingness to say, you're right, I'm wrong. What can I do to make up for the damage I've done? And I have done that, maybe not in those exact words, but I definitely have done it. And it really does diffuse the situation. And if you are genuine about it, like if you're not genuine about it and you're just trying to say that as words to mouth to move beyond your situation, that really doesn't create as much that's useful. But if you really are genuinely saying, you know what, you are right, I'm wrong. What can I do to make up for it? What can I make up for the damage I've done? It really brings people into the space of being willing, the willingness to work with you, the willingness to create something greater with you. So I highly recommend that when you get that it's necessary. When you perceive, by doing this, I'm going to create something more. And I remember a situation, I think it's written about in this book called Driven to Distraction. Is that the name of it? Betsy, is that the name of the Distractor Implant book?
Oh, that's not quite it, but I can't think. Yeah, Beyond Distraction. That's it. Beyond Distraction. Yep.
So there's this story of a woman who had rented this space in a hotel, and they really didn't watch the kids very well. And so the kids had kind of created some havoc in the hotel. And, the hotel was annoyed with her and said, you cannot come back here. You cannot have another workshop here or anything else. And she genuinely said, you know what, I'm really sorry. We didn't actually do what we should have done. And, you know, what can I make up for it to you? And that diffused the situation, and they ended up being able to use the venue in the future. So it's not only with people in your life you're close to that this can work with, it can work with other people too. And recognize from their point of view, you are wrong, right? From their point of view, it was not appropriate to just let kids run around and do all sorts, you know, unattended. And so, you know, well, let's talk about the resistance that's involved sometimes when we are wrong. And maybe there are some clearings we could do around that, Betsy, too. Because, again, I'll be really honest about this. I used to find it super hard to say, like, I'm wrong, you're right, especially if I didn't feel it 100%. You know, especially if I was like, well, you might be right 60%, but there's 40%. Yeah.
That brings up a good point, you know, where you kind of are very begrudgingly saying, well, okay, maybe just a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, that really got me laughing. Sorry. It's like, okay, how many times have I done that in my life? Like, oh, it's fine.
Yeah, so all the resistance that being wrong brings up in all of us, can we destroy and uncreate that times the godzillion?
Yep. Right, wrong, good,
right,
bad,
wrong,
pop, all mine. Shorts, boys, and beyond. And we've got to take our second break here. We'll be back in a couple. We look forward to playing with you some more.
Yeah, and check out on OMTimes.com how to call in. 202-570-7057. Come talk to us. That's the fun.
Connecting you with the best of the conscious minds in the world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Ascending Hearts is no ordinary dating site, but a spiritual dating site with a purpose, to link you with your soulmate. We engineer the serendipity so you can trust that you will attune with someone that has the same matching vibration as you. Ascending Hearts, the conscious dating site for the spiritually aware. Try Ascending Hearts for free. AscendingHearts.com.
Hello, I'm Lisa Berry. Join me every Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time for Light on Living, a chance to see new, hear different, and feel more as I shine the spotlight on all the ways to lighten the load of life's challenges. Light on Living is your link to that new way you're looking for, that new understanding that will enhance your life, and that positive connection that will support your growth. So join me, and you'll gain insight and start to see things in a new way that motivates you.
I adopted Bento in 2010 from a shelter. This cat makes me make art. He's always motivating me to draw pictures of him. He just is motivating artistically. He's my best friend, but a lot of people know him as Keyboard Cat.
Keyboard Cat, YouTube star and shelter pet. Amazing adoption stories start in shelters. Start yours today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Imperfect Brilliance. We're having such a fun conversation today about being wrong. Are you willing to be wrong? Or how much have you fought your whole life to be right? How much do you make everyone else around you wrong? And have you made that more valuable than being happy? So right before the break, Kathy, I think you were going to share something with us if you remember what that is.
Well, I have a clearing here, and before we go there, I am so interested in Keyboard Cat. After the show, I'm going to go Google it.
I know.
After listening to the ad, after week. And just so you guys know, our next show next week, July 12th, it has we're going to have a guest, Fiona Dempster, and she is going to talk about cancer and her journey with cancer and things you can do for cancer that if you or anyone else you know has cancer, you may like to send them our direction and or have a listen next week to our July 12th show, I believe it is.
Yes.
So anyway, what I was thinking of is the fact that we have to prove anything we're not, anything we've decided we are. So let's say I've decided I'm selfish. Then through life, I'm going to go through life acting and behaving in ways to prove that I'm not selfish. Okay, so where have we decided we're wrong? Where have we decided there's a wrongness to our being? And therefore, because of that wrongness, we have to prove we're not wrong in our life. And that's really cute, but takes a lot of energy. So everything that is, will you destroy and uncreate it all?
Yep, absolutely. Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyond.
So I have another clearing, and that actually had a lot of energy on it. Do you want to do it again?
Yes,
Wow.
it did. Yes, please. It sure did.
Okay. So where have we decided there's a wrongness to our being, so we have to prove that we're not wrong in life? Everything that is times the godzillion, will you destroy it and create it all?
Yes. Oh, right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyond. Kathy can barely speak at the moment. She's so busy yawning and changing the energy.
So here's another clearing, and this is what creation of the wrongness of you with reason and justification are you absolutely, utterly, and completely choosing that you should be refusing, that if you would refuse it would change your reality and manifest as the true potency and space of you. Everything that is, will you destroy and uncreate it times the godzillion?
Goodness gracious, yes.
Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, pock, all night, boys and beyond. Whoa. What creation of the wrongness of you with reason and justification are you absolutely, utterly, and completely choosing that you should be refusing, that if you would refuse it would change your reality and manifest as the true potency and space of you? Everything that is, will you destroy and uncreate it all?
Yeah. Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyond. And I love that the question that came up for me as you were reading that was, how much time have I spent making myself wrong before anyone else could make me wrong?
Oh.
So, right? So anywhere that we have been that and done that, and been our own judge, jury, and executioner, would you like to destroy and uncreate that?
Yes. Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyond. Yeah.
How many people do you hear all the time calling themselves stupid, calling themselves, whatever else? And so they spend so much time in that, like energy that is not conducive to the life that most people would like to create. So when you are focusing on how stupid you are, how dumb you are, how wrong you are, how whatever else you are, fill in the blank of whatever it is that you may be, be telling yourself on a loop, whether, you took on that point of view as somebody else around you, or these were things that were said to you, or whatever. And I know I certainly used to do that all the time. I spent so much time judging myself. And now that I don't, Kathy, talk about freedom.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh gosh. I mean, that's one of the big gifts for me of Access Consciousness. Like, I don't have that ginormous critical voice in my head that I had for years and years.
Mm-hmm.
So I've gotten out of my own way, which has allowed me, this kind of goes along with our class we're going to facilitate together in Virginia. Getting out of my own way with that critical voice in my head has allowed me to get my stuff out in the world in a different way, like write books and create things and be on the radio and have classes across the globe, which I wouldn't have been able to do if I had been constantly fixated on the wrongness or imperfection of me, which used to be my reality. That is how I used to live life.
Yep. Yes. Yeah. And so choosing now to not have that be your primary focus has totally changed what becomes available.
Well, yeah, it takes so much less effort, and there's so much freedom. And yes, I can be wrong, and being wrong is only momentary as well, because you can change your point of view in any moment. So, actually, let's talk for just a minute about our morning class that we're going to have on the 28th of July, because it really is about getting out of your own way with creation. And that's in Virginia, but I suspect it's only 3 hours long. We could live stream it for everybody so that no matter where you are in the world, you can take the class if you're interested.
Absolutely. And so with that, Cass, as we've unlocked a lot of things that we've been talking about today, and where does unlocking, so, if you're your own, judge, jury, executioner, and jailer of all of these things, as you have now decided you're going to throw away the key to your own personal jail and stop making yourself so wrong for everything you're choosing, how much does that open up almost a Pandora's box of possibilities, or a treasure box that, you open up and you just see these bright lights and shiny, shimmery things that you can, dive in and choose and be and create.
Yeah, and then the cool thing is, because even with my book, Relationships Done Easy, one of my big things was, oh, geez, I don't want anyone to put a negative review on Amazon. That went through my head so much. Really, honestly, it truly did. And finally, we created the book. It was all finished. And guess what? Someone put a negative review on Amazon. And I was like, oh, that's not such a big deal. It's clear that he didn't read the book anyway. So funny. The things that we make really significant and important, if we look at them and they truly happen, it's like, oh, okay, big whoop. So many, and if I had stopped it, right, if I had decided, well, I'm not going to create this because people might not like it, I weekly, I have gotten, oh, I love your book. It's changed my reality with relationships. When I was in London, one woman brought it to the session and she had me sign it. And so it's just, we get so hung up in certain things, and it's like, really? What if we didn't have to let that stop us at all? So I'm excited to play on July 28th about, stopping us and what would it take to unstop ourselves?
Indeed, indeed, indeed.
So, wow. shall we run a couple more clearings about the willingness to be wrong, or do you have something else to talk about this regarding that?
Well, you know what just came in as you asked me that is what can we discuss here when somebody is angry? See, we've talked a lot about the willingness to be right, or like defending your point of view. And what about when there's anger involved in whatever's going on?
Yeah. Again, when we're angry, we are pushing against something. And if the other person pushes back, think of it this way. If the door is closed, right? Well, if you have one, let me give a different scenario. Sorry. When you have one of your hands pushing against the other hand, right? Nothing is really going to happen unless one hand pushes more than the other. So if someone's angry and they're pushing at you and you push back, then you're at a standstill. But if it's pushing at you and you just release the tension in your hand, in your position, then there's really nothing for them to continue to push at. And they become deflated faster.
Okay. It was just a really interesting awareness of, maybe tapping into somebody where they may be dealing with a lot of anger from somebody. So it was just asking to have a little bit more conversation there.
And anything to add to that, Betsy?
No, I think that was great. A really clear kind of example. So thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah. So where have we decided on some level that we're wrong, and therefore we have to prove that we're not?
Yes.
Everything that will you destroy and then create it times the godzillion?
Yes. Absolutely right. That pop on and shorts, boys and beyond.
Where have we decided we're wrong, and therefore have to prove that we're not? And everything that is times the godzillion will you destroy and then create it all? Wow.
Yeah, right, wrong, good, bad, pop, all nine shorts, boys and beyond. And that's a great question. As we finish up our time together today on this subject of, how many things have you decided? So you've made those solid in your reality that perhaps they're not even true.
Ooh, talk more about that.
Well, I gave my great example at the beginning, right, about my car. And I had decided that I couldn't afford it. So if I had continued down that path of that decision, then I would have created that as my reality. What what you decide is what becomes true for you. So that's another reason that we love asking the questions that we do, is like, hey, what else is possible here? So in those questions and playing with it and realizing that the other car has way more contribution to my life, what possibilities and invitation have I now opened up in my world by being willing to be like, hey, maybe I was wrong here. What else is truly possible?
Yes. Yeah, I wonder where we could apply that situation to our own lives. Like, where have we decided we're so right that we're closing the doors to other possibilities?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. So are you willing? Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Can we just clear that one? You want to clear it?
Yeah, absolutely. So everything that is bringing up or letting down in your world, would you be willing to destroy and uncreate it? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and puck. All nine shorts, boys, and beyond.
Yes. And I'm just so curious, you know. I mean, with the statement, like, it's will you destroy and uncreate it, because you created it. You created whatever limitation there is. So now we're inviting you to uncreate it and open the door to a different possibility.
Yes. Yes.
That's all.
I love it. I love that, you know, there are infinite possibilities. So everywhere that we have decided that there are not infinite possibilities, what questions can you ask and what energies can you be to create something different in your world, if you would like to?
It's all a choice. I know sometimes in the work of access consciousness, we say it's just a choice, and it truly is. So thank you all. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you next week. Please
thank you so much.
Right.
Thank you.
Aloha, everybody. imperfectbrilliance@gmail.com. Or find us on Facebook, SoundCloud, or YouTube. Aloha.
Bye-bye, everybody.